Express is probably a pioneer in the franchising business model for express delivery service.
We already, help over 300 franchisee partners to set up their business in the e-commerce industry.
So your first 2 years in the Vietnam market coincided with the outbreak of COVID in Vietnam.
When we first came to Vietnam, we see, okay, this is great, nobody else are doing that franchising model in Vietnam.
What values do you bring to the franchisees?
You set up your own company, you are your own boss, but we actually set up a network, connect everyone up using our technology platform.
The destruction of the global supply chain has been quite a threat to this process, but it can also be seen as an opportunity for the e-logistics industry.
The destruction of supply chain really make people realize the importance to apply technology.
So what does the future hold for Best?
We already invested over $15 million, and we are going to invest more. Vietnam has a bright future. There's a big room for all of us to grow together.
Hello and welcome back to Nguy Cơ Season 2. I'm Thái Vân Linh, your host for today. When talking about franchising in Vietnam, we often hear about franchise businesses in the food and beverage or retail industries. But today, we'll meet a supply chain company who's developed a unique franchise model for express delivery in Vietnam, using their own proprietary technology to help benefit thousands of small franchisees in the country, especially during the pandemic. Let's meet Mr. Nelson Wu, General Manager of Best Inc. Vietnam. Hello, Nelson. How are you?
Hi, Lynn. Hi. Good morning, and good morning, everyone.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you so much for being here today. I'm so happy that we get a chance to chit-chat today.
Yeah, me too.
We're going to start with a little mini game, and the game will have 4 different categories. It will be plus, minus, multiply or divide, and the option that you choose will be based on your answer to the question: when you manage a company or a project, which sign would you choose?
When I manage a business, I always like to choose a multiplication because if the company want to grow, we don't want to grow, at a linear kind of growth. We want to grow at an exponential, which is, multiplication.
Okay, so within the multiply box, we have a few questions. Ready for the questions?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. If you look at things from a positive perspective, what change do you think COVID-19 has brought about for the better than before?
A lot of my friends, and including myself, in the past, we put too much focus in business. But this COVID really, forced us to stay home, spend more time with the family. I think, during these few months of lockdown, when I really spend time, with the family, I really see a different perspective in life. Okay, I think this is, just my individual personal sharing. But from the business perspective, we really realize, how internet economy and this e-commerce can really, help everyone. Okay, especially you see, I think the food delivery. Okay, during this lockdown, and then a lot of restaurant, is unable to open, and then a lot of people rely on this food delivery, for their daily need and also the grocery. So I think, of course, this pandemic is something which is a disaster, but at the same time, it also accelerates, the growth of this internet economy and e-commerce.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think everybody struggled initially, and then they realized, hey, I finally have time to see my kids. Even if it's
that's right.
5 minutes between a meeting, that's still a lot more than 0 before. Okay, let's move to the next question.
Yeah.
If you could see the future, what would you most like to know about it?
Wow, it's a very, very big question. Okay, so actually it has nothing to do with e-commerce. I really want to know, because human race has been existed, probably 2 million years. So in the past 2 million years, there's not much changes to, us physically as human beings. So actually, I'm very, very happy to see some of the positive developments, the positive side of this COVID, that, the mRNA technology, the vaccination, and because of this new technology that we are able to develop the vaccine at a much faster pace as compared to the traditional, And these is not just for vaccination, but also for curing the cancer, even curing the AIDS, etc. And then there's a chance for us to understand, how our DNA works, and then we will be able to so-called, fine-tune, the next generation, etc., to improve our life. This is much more important in knowing ourselves and able to improve ourselves, fine-tune ourselves from inside out. Okay, this is amazing. So, I really want to know, probably in the next 30 years, are we able to be really, upgrade ourselves to a different level?
Okay, great. Well, that concludes the questions in our mystery box. Thank you so much for playing.
Thank you.
And now we'll go into the main portion of the talk. So let's talk a little bit about Best Express. So your first 2 years in the Vietnam market coincided with the outbreak of COVID in Vietnam. So what are the challenges that you faced during this time?
Oh, I think the challenge is really about localization. As foreigner, we come all the way from overseas countries, and we really have a lot of things that we want to bring in. But the key thing is not really about what you want to bring in, but what the local people really want. You could have a very comprehensive toolbox, and inside you really want to apply every tool locally, but how can you customize your technology, which can be adopted, accepted, and then create a unique customer experience for the local community. And that is one challenge. The second part is that we are here in the local country, and then local talents, is a key for success. A lot of time, we can have some great ideas, but it's not the time like 20, 30 years ago that some great idea you can just easily turn into a great business. That using PPT, a business proposal to raise funds, the time is over. Now it's really everything is about delivery. What you can actually deliver. You can have a lot of ideas, but how much you can deliver. And that service delivery actually requires a team which knows the local culture, local people, the characteristics, of the economy, and the profile of the people. What do they really need? What do they really want? Okay, and then that's why the local type build up team or local talents is really a challenge, because especially for economies, for e-commerce is something new. And there are a lot of people who are familiar, with what is e-commerce about, what is this so-called the sharing economy. And then people often mistaken, the agent model, supplier model with a franchising model, etc. So there are a lot of things, a lot of work to be done. But I'm very happy, in Vietnam, the great pool of young people who are willing to learn. And then, in the past 2 years, we are able to overcome the challenge, and then, find those group of people and then work with them together to bring in a lot of franchisees locally. So yes, localization.
It seems like there are a lot of problems throughout the entire business model. What are you doing to try to solve these issues?
I think 2 years ago when I first came to Vietnam, I'm just alone pulling a luggage by myself. Okay, so when I reached Ho Chi Minh, I stayed in the hotel. I looked down the street. I saw, there's so many people, that the motorbikes are traveling like flood. I see this is such a vibrant, economy, vibrant country. But Ho Chi Minh 3 years ago, 2018, at that time, I actually received a report from the e-commerce association. I think at that time, the e-commerce industry is only about 1 million, parcel a day, 1.2 million parcel a day. Okay, for the whole country. The largest local private express company at that time is only about 200,000 parcel a day. So that's what happens 3 years ago. So yes, it's booming, but as compared to the traditional economy, as compared to the traditional logistic company, and then e-commerce is such an infant. It's really at the infancy stage, even though it's growing very fast. So I start to look for partners. I talk to a lot of people, and then they say, okay, very nice to know that you're Alibaba investor, that you're listed in New York Stock Exchange. That it's very good to know about this e-commerce and interesting. But I tell you what, I have bad experiences shopping on the platform. My wife just bought a product and then it came back, turns out to be fake, etc. So there are so many challenges, on the product, itself, and on the customer experience, on the scale of the business, in terms of the platform, the overall, market size, and also on the infrastructure as well. When I look for, our sortation center, I visit different, I think 50 different sites in Vietnam. I couldn't find a warehouse which matched to my requirement. So I have to find a developer who is willing to trust me, put a face, with me, and then to build something, I designed. So a lot of things is really, are not ready at that time. So, but now we know, this year, Vietnam internet economy market size already reached 21 billion, which is faster than the Google and Temasek report. And, they also revised out the number, 2025, it's going to be 57 billion. So this is a very substantial number because this year, we know that Vietnam is quite close the number to Thailand, and that the growth is 29% year by year. But this we are talking about the internet economy. And if we just look at the e-commerce itself, the growth is 53%. This is phenomenal. Okay, so in terms of the warehouse availability, and then we start to see some of the developers, there are more developers are coming to Vietnam. They are actually start to build to still kind of infrastructure. So I see a lot of things 3 years ago, the challenges, bottlenecks, and today, okay, and then they are not there anymore. And then the largest local private express company already grow over 1 million parcels a day. This is, first time in Vietnam. I know I'm very, very happy for that.
That's great. So it seems like when you first entered the market, there were a lot of challenges, and you've worked through a lot of them. So throughout this time, when you saw all these difficulties, did you see opportunities, and how did you evaluate the Vietnamese market in relation to these opportunities?
I think for whichever business, the most important, of course, we have to work hard. A lot of people also work hard. So everybody is working hard. So working hard itself, it doesn't lead you to where you want to be. I think most important choice is really about, which industry you want to choose. Okay, it can be a rising industry like e-commerce, or it could be a sunset industry like traditional, some, business. I'm not saying that all the traditional business, but to me, there's no differentiation between traditional and, and the internet. If you think about e-commerce, what's e-commerce about? So it's also about trading. This has been there, for a few thousand years. Trading has always been there. What differentiate, the traditional and, the e-commerce is really the use of technology. And this is, means that you're still doing the trading, but you're doing trading using different way. It's just like Uber or Grab, So it's just doing delivery. What's the difference between Binasang, and Grab? It's the way they just provide, kind of a taxi or passenger services, but it's the way they organize their business, how they use technology to deliver that kind of, service, which differentiate, the so-called e-commerce business from the traditional business. So I think the key thing is number one, okay, when there are a lot of, issues, bottlenecks, seems a lot of things are not ready. When I saw that, I said, this is a great opportunity because, if I go to a mature economy, everything is ready. There's nothing much for me to improve on. So for a business to succeed, you must, be able to improve on something and then, and make a lot of people benefit from it. And if there's nothing for you to improve on, so there's not much value you can create. So that's number one. So problems, inefficiencies, difficulty, etc., really means great opportunities. This is why, we actually wanted to, choose this e-commerce express delivery as, the entry for passing.
So when you entered the market, it was difficult, a lot of challenges to overcome. So let's take a step back and talk about why did you decide to enter the Vietnam market and why 2 years ago? Was that a good time for you?
So first of all, I think for the Southeast Asia, not just Vietnam, even though 3 years ago or even 5 years ago, when the size of e-commerce are still relatively small, but at that time they are already growing at a 3-digit kind of growth, especially for e-commerce. So this is the reason why we can see that Shopee, like Lazada, in the past few years, from a relatively smaller size and then grow to something significant today. So thanks to this market, in Southeast Asia, so that's the reason why, actually we start out Best Global 6 years ago in 2015, and then we spent a few years to build the team and also, to build a export business. And not just in Southeast Asia, but also in United States, Europe. We actually operate more than 18 countries globally. And then after 1-2 years, we realized, actually this Southeast Asia is an area which is very, very potential. So we actually made the decision in 2017 to venture into Southeast Asia. So the first country we choose is Thailand, and then I myself came to Vietnam in 2018. We start our operation in 2019. So I think not just us at that time, it's also the time a lot of other players, investment coming into Southeast Asia. For example, Alibaba's investment into Lazada, they bought over the share of Lazada, and also the Grab's entry, into all the Southeast Asia countries, including Vietnam. So at that time, it's very clear that this is the area, Southeast Asia region. This is region is a hotspot, not just for this region, but in the whole world. It's actually developing at a very, very fast pace. And then in this Southeast Asia economy, if you look at Vietnam, I think it has some unique advantages. Firstly, it's a country with a large population. Now it's almost 1 million people population. And it has 71 million, internet users, out of which there are 61 million smartphone users. And the smartphone penetration is 63%. It's even higher than Indonesia. Indonesia is about 58%, and Philippines, which is about 37%. So numbers speaks itself. Long story short, so that's the reason why we believe Vietnam, is the right country, and in fact, it's a very strategic country for us to move in.
So you mentioned that you also enter Thailand and potentially other countries. What do you see are some of the challenges that you faced in Vietnam as compared to the other countries?
It's a very, very good question. First of all, Southeast Asia, I think for the foreigners, when they first came into this region, they often made a mistake. They actually think that Southeast Asia is a country, but it's not. Each country is very, very unique. So what works in Thailand, it may not work in Vietnam. What works in Indonesia, it may not work in Thailand. So I think number one is Vietnam is unique, from all other countries in Southeast Asia. And number two is that some of the area which I see as a great potential, but it's also which means that there are a lot of things are not ready, which is the infrastructure. And also on the COD payment, I think this is really something which is slow down, the transaction, because you make this buying and selling, to say, the process very long. And then a lot of offline verifications, etc. And then it actually increased the friction to the transaction. But like what I mentioned, all those areas, are actually means great potentials. So the COD, the high amount of COD, which means the great potential for e-wallets. Also, that's why I can see, a lot of e-wallet development, including Momo, Shopee Pay, etc. So yeah, I think those are the things Vietnam has, which is quite different from other countries. Yeah, of course, the other part is that the fragmentation of the e-commerce market. For example, I think probably, if my number is correct, Vietnam is the country which the Facebook sellers or the small online shops has the highest percentage among all the Southeast Asia countries. For example, from my data, probably it's about 65% to 70%, of the e-commerce volume are coming from those online shops, small online shops, a huge number. The platforms are growing very, very fast, but today I think it's probably just about 30 to 35%, but not more than 40%. But if we look at other economy like Indonesia, etc., actually the percentage is reversed. The platform are having a higher percentage, while the smaller shops, they're having a lower percentage. So those are the very unique profile of Vietnam.
Okay, so I see that you've identified some of the unique characteristics of Vietnam. Can you talk about the role of the Vietnam market in the Best Express development strategy within Southeast Asia? How is Best Express investing to develop the business in Vietnam?
I think express business is nothing new, or delivery service is nothing new. Has been national company like Vietnam Post, like Viettel Post, etc. There are also other players. So for Basin, there are a few things we have done which is different. Okay, the first thing is that using the franchising model. So what is franchising model? So same thing, if you look at the platform, you look at the Grab, etc. So you realize the participants, those drivers, they are individuals, and they could be small companies who own a few cars, etc. But mostly they are individuals. But versus the Vinasam, corporation, those are employees. So you realize that the gist of e-commerce is really about how you can use technology to empower a large number of people so that they can participate in something that only those traditionally those big enterprises they can participate. So same thing, likewise, if you look at the express business, it's actually quite difficult to set up a nationwide network. You need to have a lot of investment. You need to build infrastructure, you build sortation centers, you need to build the line haul trucks, you need to have, set up all the last mile hubs across the country. So without those setup, without those investment, it's impossible for a small business individual to participate in this kind of economy. So that's the reason why when we first came to Vietnam, we see, okay, this is great. Nobody else are doing that franchising model in Vietnam. Of course, it means challenge to us because when I, speak to a lot of people, they say, so what is franchising business? I don't understand. Is it just supplier, or is it you give me the volume, I provide a service, and then you are my customer? I say, no, that's traditional. That's so-called the distribution model, which is very, very traditional model. So this is your own business. You set up your own company, you are your own boss. Okay, but we actually set up a network, connect everyone up using our technology platform. Additionally, we have this infrastructure network, like 13 sortation centers countrywide, automated sortations technology we put into place, etc. So those things will actually help the small business to become part of our franchise network and participate in this last mile delivery. So franchisee business model and franchisee operation model is the key, differentiator for us.
Yeah, that's definitely very interesting. I'd say Best Express is probably a pioneer in the franchising business model for express delivery service.
Yeah, that's right.
So when it comes to that, what values do you bring to the franchisees?
Like what I mentioned earlier, number one is that in order for a business to participate in this e-commerce economy or service, that they don't have to set up the network by their own. Okay, they just in charge, for example, one of the franchisee area. Okay, and then do a much smaller setup within their area. But then they will be able to join this larger network, which we created. There are a lot of participants. Okay, and then they can actually start to collect the parcel and then it's selling to the whole country. So this is something that cannot be done without this franchise network. So by providing a business opportunity for the franchisee partners, to participate in this e-commerce express delivery service. So this is one thing. The second thing is that in the past, for a company to develop a system to run a business which can handle 20 million parcels a day, it really took a lot of effort and investment. For Basin Group, we actually start to develop this system since year 2008 until this year is, I think, it's about 13 years already. So we actually have a team, R&D team based in Hangzhou. The whole team is about 800 people, So it is a system which, 800 people spend 13 years to develop. And then traditionally, that kind of system, it will be actually guarded by the big enterprise, used by themselves. And then, they will just set up, just invest and hire the people and then run everything by themselves. But now we actually bring this system to our franchisee partners, and each of them, they actually don't have to, hire a team of 800 R&D engineers and then spend 13 years to develop that system. They can use it right away. Okay, so this is another thing, we actually bring to them. The third thing is very in infrastructure, like what I mentioned earlier. In Vietnam, when I first came into the market, a lot of things are not ready. That's why we have to really create our own, build-to-suit warehouses, put all the things inside. So those are the backbones infrastructure we created, which it wasn't there before. So after those kind of investment in terms of infrastructure, in terms of system, and then in terms of management practice, because I think why do we need system? Because system can really put in a lot of best practice, process, etc. to build it into a system control rather than manual control, so that you can really achieve whether you are doing 1 parcel, 1 million parcel. Okay, it's standardized. It gives you the accuracy, efficiency, and the productivity. So this is something, those are the values we can bring to the franchising partners.
So can you talk about some of the milestones and achievements that BEST has achieved over the past 2 years?
First of all, we already set up, over 13 sortation centers across the whole country. And out of which there, the 2 large sortation centers, one in Ho Chi Minh and another one in Ba Ninh, which we just opened recently in November, occupies a space of 44,000 square meters. Yeah, actually, these 2 sortation centers are by far, are 2 of our largest sortation centers in Southeast Asia of BEST. So far, it's also, the most advanced sortation center for express delivery in Vietnam. This is on the infrastructure side. On the franchisee side, we already help over 300 franchisee partners to set up their business in the e-commerce industry, like what we promised. Some of them are really, really successful. We are really surprised by some of the partners coming from the traditional industry like EVN. Okay, they are the professional manager in the EVN, but now they become a very successful entrepreneur, in the e-commerce industry. And some of them are actually, they went to overseas study, okay, and then work there for a few years, and then they want to come back to Vietnam, their home country, because they see there are much more potential, greater opportunity in Vietnam. And then they come back and then they join us as a franchisee partner. So very young, 20 years old. And then today, they actually hire over probably 70, 80 people in their franchisee area and doing a few thousand parcels a day, which is equivalent to a sizable logistic company. 3 years ago, when I actually surveyed the market, there are a lot of people, companies, they are doing just a few thousand parcels a day. So, those young people, they already achieved that, those traditional business, they achieved, over 10 years. So, but they just achieved it in less than a year. So the franchisee partner side. On the e-commerce platform side, we are working with all the major platforms like Shopee, Lazada, Tiki, Sendo, okay, and all the SaaS platforms as well. So I think the connectivity with platforms, all right. So yeah, that's probably all about it so far.
That's great. Earlier you mentioned using technology to act as a multiplier for a business. How is BEST using technology within your operations?
We actually use technology from every part of our business. For example, for franchisees, okay, whenever they actually go to the customer side, to receive the orders, every order will be actually already API to our system. So what they need to do is just need to bring a barcode scanner and then just go to the customer side, and then they scan on the parcel, and then they will be coming up the label and just paste it, and that's it. All the information of the parcel will be transferred back real time back to our system. Then the next process is they will just need to bring back the parcel to their station, and then when they send to the parcel to our sortation center, and we do not need to manually to the sortation, but just put the parcel onto our automatic sortation lines, okay, and then our DWS will automatically scan in every parcel, and then at the same time we'll actually measure the weight, okay, and measure the dimension, which traditionally those things are done by hand, by manually. The automation machine, the sorting lines will decide based on the setting will be able to sort the parcel to the direction or according to where is it going to? Is it going to the north, south, southwest, etc. And then after that, for the large station, we can even sort to the last mile. Okay, so everything is done seamlessly using the system. And then once the parcel reach the destination franchisee, they just open the bag and then scan, just need to scan, nothing else. And then after that, pass it to delivery man, and the application, our delivery man app will be able to tell every delivery man, how do you do the routing, and then how do you do the sequencing. And then after that, they reach the customer, finish the delivery, scan, finish. Everything is done, they are using the system, except the COD. So COD to us is still a challenge. So we are, trying to work with the partners, to find a solution for that.
That's great. So I definitely agree. If you build the infrastructure and you build the supply chain, that's how you can get a lot of synergies from each individual player. But recently, the disruption of the global supply chain has been quite a threat to this process. But it can also be seen as an opportunity for the e-logistics industry. How was Best prepared for this opportunity?
I think the disruption of the supply chain is temporary, because we all know that the reason the COVID, and the mutation of the virus, the Omicron, and also, the travel ban, and also the shortage of the containers, in terms of sea freight. The cost of sea freight in the past is just 5,000-6,000 USD, and now it's about 20,000. It's kind of crazy, but whatever those things we know, if we put at a longer horizon, a lot of things happen in the past 10 years or 20 years, or even putting a longer term, it always happen. So but it always goes away. So I think we should not just look at the current disruption saying, okay, it's yes, a lot of issues and problems and disruptions, but would that be a long-term thing and is going to last for another 10 years, 20 years? I do not think so. So number one, the disruption is just for short term. Okay. The number two is that actually when this disruption happens, it also create a lot of opportunity, because the cost pressure to the customers, etc. And in the past, and because the disruption will disrupt those business which is less efficient. Okay, so you actually force everyone to rethink how you want to conduct your business in a more efficient, a smarter way. I just saw our article, a few days back, saying that a lot of people saying that it is actually the lockdown and this pandemic, makes them to rethink how they can run their business, and then they start to use technologies to improve, to apply in their business, and then they think that without using this productivity enhancement or efficiency enhancement, their business will not survive during this COVID. So I think the disruption of supply chain really make people realize the importance to apply technology.
That's great. So you've entered the Vietnam market, you've overcome a lot of challenges, you've implemented technology to automate many processes. So what does the future hold for Best? What do you have planned over the next few years?
I think number one is that we are in Vietnam for long term. So whatever we are doing, we will continue to do it. We will continue to do more. Okay, we already invested over $50 million in building up all the infrastructures, etc. And we are going to invest more. That's definitely because this economy is still growing, and we can see in the next 5 to 10 years for this e-commerce and internet economy. It's just the beginning. So there's a long way, and then we are very happy, to be able to participate in this in the long haul. We'll continue to build, our technology infrastructure. We'll continue to, apply more, automation technology, and then we'll continue to, support more franchisee partners. So this is number one. Number two is that the value of internet economy is quite interesting. Is that for traditional business, because the way you organize is manual, also a lot of things like what I say, there's a bottleneck in terms of productivity, efficiency. But it's not only on that. You will realize, traditionally, if you do one type of business, you will always be doing that, for the lifelong, and then it's quite hard, for one industry, to venture into another industry. There are very rare success cases, but it's different case for internet economy. For example, some people doing the handphone network, they may venture into express logistics service. They may do it very successfully, and then you'll realize the line between different industry become much blur. And then you could never imagine, our APP, a programmer will be able to, do a business which is taxi service. This is cannot be imagined, 20 years ago. Once you use technology as the foundation, and then this technology, it can work for industry, it can also work for another industry. So same thing, likewise, once we build this strong technology foundation and also our network in Vietnam, we will actually be developing more business, offering more values to our customers and also partners. It could be cross-border, it could be, for the freight business, it could be for supply chain, it could be, some of collaboration with our online shops, do some new kind of marketing campaign, etc. So there are a whole lot of new services we're going to introduce and explore. Yes.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. Do you have any final words you'd like to share with the audience?
Oh yeah, stay healthy, stay safe, and then Vietnam has a bright future. And I hope that not just passing, because the internet economy is not really about one enterprise, doing everything. It's really about everybody participate in this economy. And then if you look at e-commerce, is still a single digit of this retail. But if you look at the more mature market like China, it's already about 26-28%. So there's still a long way to go, which is there's a great room to grow. And then I really hope that my customers, my partners, and even my competitors don't look at the current business, look at the growth, look at the potential. There's a big room for all of us to grow together.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Nelson, for being here today. We loved having you, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Linh. Thank you very much. And bye, everyone.
As you can see, franchising is becoming more and more popular in the delivery services industry in Vietnam, thanks to the boom in e-commerce. And Best Express has been one of the pioneers in this sector with its innovative technology infrastructure and its strategic vision of Vietnam's fast-growing market. One of the biggest lessons I learned today is that any industry is open for innovation, including an old and traditional one like shipping. As we look forward to returning to a new normal, I also look forward to seeing all the new innovative business models that will come out of these unprecedented few years. Thank you for joining us today, and see you in our next episode. Cùng Thái Vân Linh trong talk show Nguy Cơ, tiên phong giải các bài toán thúc đẩy doanh nghiệp, thứ 5 hàng tuần trên vnexpress.net.